Wealthies, welcome back. If you're new here, this is All the Wealth, our Wealth More Wealth Building channel. And today we are here to celebrate our first 3,000 subscribers. Yes, that is right, 3,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for tuning in. We started this accidental podcast to give you guys the tips and insights to help you do better with your money. And you guys showed up, you tuned in, you have told us how this channel means so much to you and how it is helping you get smarter, more confident. As always, you can go to wealthmore.net to work one-on-one with one of our wealth advisors, invest in our managed portfolios, and you can get more through our community-free membership. But here's a look back to some of my favorite moments across our now 18 different episodes. All the Wealth. Thank you. And as we always do, we bring you the facts. So the reality is the richest Americans own the vast majority of the US stock market, and that is according to Fed data. The top 10% of Americans hold 93% of all stocks, and this is the highest level ever recorded.
And then there was this perception, at least especially during COVID, right, that there was a lot more participation in the market, right? The regular folks were more inclined to start investing, even if it was in small amounts. And certainly the platforms have made it accessible, right? It's much easier to actually place the trade, have an account. But clearly that's not moving the needle in any meaningful way.
The wealthy understand that the best returns, or some of the best returns to be had on their money, is by investing in the stock market. And then they have another thing that helps them tremendously, is they have the benefit of getting wealth advice. The wealthy are playing and leveraging the markets. They are putting their money at work. I like to say that my money should be working harder than I work. And I can only...
Yeah, that's the goal.
You know, I need sleep, but my equities don't.
They really
don't. And I want to encourage you guys to not have lazy money. Lazy money does not serve you. And my wish was that retail investors for once would not panic sell. And the data is in, and kudos to our retail investors. You guys did not panic sell. You stayed the course. And it is actually the institutional investors that drove most of the sell-off. So if any of our chats over the last month here inspired you to take a deep breath, think about your long-term strategy, if it inspired you to join us for a one-on-one, email us with a question, and that helped you to not sort of panic sell, I can't tell you enough. I have all the love for that. Like, please, guys, keep tuning in. This is why we're here, to help you guys stay informed and to not fall into these known traps of retail investors buying high, selling low, panic selling.
You mentioned housing as well. Of course, housing is covered in the military. You can either stay on base or you can live off base and get a housing allowance. That's a big benefit because if you decided to purchase a home, you can get a mortgage, and basically the military is paying off your mortgage with the housing allowance.
Mortgage. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Tanya, can you hear me?
I can.
Will our effects work?
Oh my God. It's raining.
It's raining, yes.
Oh my
it's
God.
raining. It's raining on the markets.
Oh, love. It's a little hard.
It's raining on the markets.
The confetti is, all of it was much more than I imagined.
Tariffs are poo-pooing all over the markets.
They really are.
I wonder if it does the reactions from your... Okay,
from
cool.
your hands, like
yeah.
The other platform.
It's going to supersede what you put in your will, which a lot of people don't realize. There's been so many documented
yes.
issues where people were like, well, I named this person in my will. That's great. but on your 401k with someone else. So
Yes.
you always want to make sure everything aligns with what your wishes are. So you can always put someone down now and also a contingent beneficiary, which means a backup person or persons. You can always do that and change it at any point in time.
Yeah.
It's not set in stone.
Taxes is a privilege, right? I remember one time I was at this event and this guy said, one of my goals is to pay $1 million in taxes. I was like, that's
I'm not with you yet.
Hold on. He's like, I want to pay $1 million in taxes. He says, well, people are like, well, that's a lot of money. He's like, that means I made a lot of money. If I can pay $1 million in taxes, I must have probably made about $5 to $10 million, depending on how, right? As opposed to, well, I don't want to pay a lot of money in taxes. I just want to pay $20,000 or $10,000 in taxes. Unless you have a great accountant and you have a lot of businesses and you can use those deductions to just about nullify. And you've seen some of these big corporations where they pay no taxes. But again, if you're making that much money, you're going to pay a lot of taxes. Like I used to tell some of my clients, you made a lot of money. You got to pay the taxes on it, right?
It says, according to the Path to Purchase Institute, so there's actually an institute out there, it studies Americans' buying behaviors. 92% of Americans made an impulse purchase at any given point. You might say, okay, well, 92, right? Okay. To the point about the online shopping, right? Our survey found that 79% of in-store shoppers make an impulse purchase and 58% of online shoppers. But still 92% of us are making these impulse buys. I am focused on meeting X goal, but it gets better. If you have specific check-ins with your, let's call this person your accountability partner or your accountability buddy, your chance of success, meaning that you actually will achieve that goal, increases to, take a guess, Tanya. Higher, 95%. I mean, that is pretty much like a given that you will hit that goal just by having a regular check-in. It's pretty impressive.
Risk is part of investing. That's why those who stick with their plan tend to get better returns over the long run. Just as a side note, since World War II, the S&P 500 has declined by 10% or more, so correction, defined as a 10% drop from the high, 24 different times. The next part I'm about to tell you is actually more important than that drop. The bull markets that followed those corrections are generally much stronger and last much longer. The 24 corrections took about 5 months before seeing the bottom. The recovery back to the same level, that same peak, took only about 4 months on average. And again, as a side note, you see one of these stock market corrections about every year, 1.2 years, every 1.2 years since about 1980. Pretty common, pretty normal, just part of investing. What you need to do is really stick to your plan.
And women essentially retire with 30% less in wealth relative to men.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, that's a pretty big number.
It's a huge number.
A lot of it, and I sort of want to echo that we hear a lot of stuff out there that would suggest that this is how women spend, etc., that sort of contributes to the wealth gap. But the reality is the wealth gap for women is largely driven by the pay gap.
Yeah.
Women on average make 82 cents to the dollar of what a male earns. And over time, that number really adds up. It adds up to anywhere between $400,000 to $1.2 million in difference, and not a positive difference, a negative difference when it comes to building wealth.
It's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money, right? Like most people are trying to retire with $1 million, and that wealth gap is impacting us to the tune of anywhere between $400,000 to $1.2 million bucks. The highs. And then when things get a little hectic in the market, they exit at the lows, which means maybe you bought a stock at $150 at its high, likely trending towards its 52-week high. Markets get a little choppy, you get nervous, and you maybe sold your shares at $100 and took a loss because you didn't have a wealth advisor that you could pick up the phone and talk to. that you can go through your long-term investing strategy and who can even make sense of what's happening in the market. Markets right now have taken a bit of a correction, and I would love retail investors to actually, for once, do the reverse. I would like you guys to flood our website, click on the button, and schedule a one-on-one with any of our wealth advisors. And I want you guys to do the opposite of traditional retail investors and say, how can I seize an opportunity to maybe come in at the lows? This is what many wealth managers are doing right now, calling their clients, looking for the bright spots in the market, because they know that means even more upside to their clients. Yeah.
You can book a call to learn more about us, to learn more about how we help. It's free.
You can book a call with Tanya.
Yes, you can. My Calendly link is there on the website.
I highly recommend that you do that. So we've given people some homework, right?
Yes.
Obviously,
go to wealthmore.net.
wealthmore.net, book a call with Tanya. We will share the data with you guys so you can look at it on your own to see the power of investing. But the key is to get started and stick with it and have solid advice along them.
Listen, we have a new year in 11 days? I mean, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. You can start today.
You can start